Okay, imagine this for a second. You're in a public building, just documenting your own court case. And then suddenly, bam, security guards attack you.
Wow.
They wrestle you, they detain you, and then get this. Months later, you're the one charged with assault. For defending yourself. It sounds, well, unbelievable.
It really does. But, it's not fiction. This is the stark reality for someone named Mark Brown down in Tucson, Arizona. It's this compelling but often really frustrating series of clashes with government security.
And that's what we're diving into today. Our mission here is to really unpack these incidents. We want to get into the legal details and nuances and look at the bigger picture. What does it mean to document government actions, especially when things get questioned and the pushback gets physical?
Exactly. And we're working from some specific source material here, excerpts from a YouTube video transcript. It's called Security Attacks, Then Charges Victim for Attacking by James Freeman. And it really details these specific fights, the court stuff, this whole struggle for transparency in public spaces.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning of this particular clash. What's the first real flashpoint we need to understand with Mark Brown? Can you set that scene? February 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. So February 2025, Mark Brown is in the lobby of this building in Tucson. It's described as multi-purpose.
Right.
So, yeah, it's got the Pima County Justice Courts, but also, like, the assessor's office, the recorder's office, other stuff.
Okay.
And he's there, live streaming. He's talking about his cases with a friend, Vernon, who, interestingly, is a retired lawyer.
Right, just live streaming in a public lobby. And what happens then? This is where it gets messy, right?
A group of security guards comes up to Mark. One guy, Sean O'Brien, seems to be leading them. Mary Jane is there, too. And they just tell him straight up, you are not authorized to film in this building.
But Mark, he's prepared, isn't he? He tries to show them proof.
He does. He actually tries to show them documentation, like the actual Arizona Supreme Court rules, even a judge's ruling he has. Stuff he believes clearly says he can record in this public area.
And that distinction, public area versus strictly courthouse, that's critical here, isn't it?
It's absolutely central to the whole legal argument. See, the Arizona Supreme Court rules, they allow recording in courtrooms, if you tell the judge. And they also allow it in all public areas and lobbies of courthouses.
Okay.
But, and this is the key part, the rules define a courthouse as an area strictly used by the court. This building, though, it's multi-purpose. The lobby's just the main entrance for everyone.
Right, so it's not strictly court space.
Exactly. So Mark's argument is this lobby isn't technically a courthouse under that strict definition, meaning his right to film there is, well, reinforced.
So, okay, he's showing them the rules, making his case. How did the guards react to that? To this, direct legal point?
Well, according to the source, not well. Despite him trying to show the documents, they apparently get loud yelling and very disorderly.
Wow.
Yeah, talking over him, trying to intimidate him. And then Mary Jane, one of the guards, she reaches out and actually grabs Mark's phone.
Whoa. Okay, so she grabs his property and Mark reacts.
He does. He pushes her away, trying to defend himself and, keep his phone.
And that push, that's the trigger.
That seems to be it. Because right after that, the source says the entire gang of security guards attacks Mark, just descends on him.
Oh, man.
Luckily, his friend Vernon, the retired lawyer, he whips out his own phone and starts recording the whole thing.
And the authority issue here is just glaring. These guards, the source stresses, they are not certified cops.
Nope.
They have zero authority to touch anyone, zero authority to arrest. Their actual protocol is just call Tucson PD if someone needs removing.
Right. Standard procedure.
But instead, they detain Mark. And someone calls in a level 2 fight in progress with injuries, which that's serious, right? That's like the second most urgent call police get.
Very serious. Just below an active shooter situation, basically.
And the Tucson police, they never showed up.
Never showed.
So Mark is held by these guards for, what, a couple of hours and then finally let go? No charges?
Yep. Released. No charges filed at that time. It really suggests they had no legal grounds to hold him in the first place.
It's incredible. And, to really get this February 2025 incident, we probably need more context. This wasn't Mark's first run-in, right? What's the backstory? Why was he even in court?
Yeah, that's a great point. This isn't happening in a vacuum. His whole journey with the courts started kind of bizarrely. He was initially charged with disorderly conduct for saying Tucson police suck.
Seriously, for saying they suck?
Apparently. And also trespassing on the public sidewalk.
Okay. And who was the supposed victim of him saying the police suck?
Get this. The alleged victim for the disorderly conduct was an off-duty Pima County corrections officer. The source describes him as someone who put in some nipple rings and then attacked a 60-year-old veteran, that's Mark Brown, because Mark criticized the police.
Wow, okay. So the officer allegedly attacks Mark for his speech, but Mark gets arrested and charged by Tucson PD.
That's how the source lays it out. So fast forward to February 18th, 2025. Mark's in court for that original charge. He tries to audio live stream the hearing, which, again, Arizona court rules seem to allow.
Right.
But the Tucson prosecutor objects immediately, claims victim's privacy.
But wait, the victim in that case was the off-duty officer who allegedly attacked him. And in his other cases, aren't the victims usually just the government?
That's exactly the point Mark and his lawyer make. The victims in nearly all his cases are cited as the government. So the privacy argument feels, well, thin. And Mark's lawyer at the time really summed up their whole defense theory. Basically said every single thing about all of this is about the government retaliating against Mark for recording the government and criticizing the government.
That raises a big question, doesn't it? If the government sees itself as the victim, how does that square with your right to document what they're doing, especially when you're challenging them?
It really highlights the power imbalance. And speaking of challenges, Mark has taken these issues further before, right? To higher courts.
He has. Some of his previous cases challenging these recording bans and trespassing issues actually went all the way up to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. That's the federal appeals court for Arizona, California, a bunch of western states. Pretty significant.
And what did the Ninth Circuit say? Did they back his right to record?
Well, it's complicated. The Ninth Circuit apparently acknowledged that Mark was, and I quote, right about the law.
Okay, so legally correct.
Legally correct about his right to record or about not actually trespassing. But, and this is a huge but, the court essentially said, again, quoting the source's interpretation, you're also an asshole, so you lose.
Wait, seriously? You're an asshole, so you lose.
That's the source's blunt summary of the ruling's effect. They cited his disorderly behavior as the reason he lost, even while conceding he was right on the legal points.
Wow. So what does that mean practically? If you're legally right but deemed disorderly or an asshole, you lose anyway. What kind of precedent does that set?
It really underscores a key point from the source. So many things at play here that have so much more power than law, such as money, politics, public opinion, the ability to control narratives, personal connections.
So it's not just the letter of the law. It's perception, connections, narrative control.
Exactly. It suggests that how you assert your rights, your tone, your perceived attitude, that can apparently override the actual legality of your actions in the eyes of some courts, it definitely implies a chilling effect, doesn't it? Like, you better be polite and agreeable, even when challenging authority, or your rights might not matter.
That's a really sobering thought. It means these fights aren't just legal, they're political, personal, fought on uneven ground. And this pattern with the security guards, it's not just Mark Brown, is it? You mentioned Sean O'Brien, one of the guards in the February incident.
Right. The source connects the dots. There was a strikingly similar incident just 2 years before. Same building. Same guard, Sean O'Brien.
Okay, what happened then?
O'Brien apparently stole a recording device from someone else, a guy named Patrick.
Stole it? What?
O'Brien actually admitted it on camera later, according to the source. He said he stole Patrick's recording device because he was recording him. Plain and simple.
So, again, it's about stopping the recording itself, not some rule violation.
Seems like it. And in that incident, Patrick pushed O'Brien back, apparently almost sending him over a 15-foot balcony.
Whoa. So Patrick defended himself, too. What happened to him legally?
Patrick got charged. Assault, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest. The usual playbook, it seems.
But did he get convicted, given O'Brien admitted stealing the device?
Nope. Patrick was found not guilty in a bench trial. The judge decided the case, not a jury, and the reason. The judge found that security guard Sean O'Brien was the attacker and Patrick was the defender.
Wow. So a judge explicitly called the guard the attacker? That's huge validation for Patrick.
It really is. And it circles back to that authority issue. These guards can't make arrests. So, like the source points out, you can't resist an arrest when you're not under arrest.
Good point.
And maybe even more telling. Sean O'Brien, the guard who admitted stealing the device, he was never even charged.
Never charged. For taking someone's property like that, the source says that could be strong-armed robbery under Arizona law.
Exactly. But no charges for the guard, just charges for the guy who reacted to having his property stolen. The lack of accountability for the guard seems consistent.
So, looking at these incidents together, Mark's case, Patrick's case, what's the strategy here? What's the pattern the source identifies with how these guards handle people recording.
The source sees a clear tactic emerging. They say the guards attack people, create violent altercations, and then claim that everybody has to leave not because they're recording, but because they've now created a disturbance.
Ah, okay. So provoke a reaction, create chaos, and then use the chaos they created as the reason to shut everything down and kick people out.
That seems to be the observed pattern. It cleverly shifts the focus away from the legality of the recording itself.
Okay, so this cycle just keeps going. Fast forward again after the February 2025 incident. Mark decides to sue.
Right. A couple of months later, he files a lawsuit against the guards who attacked him. Alina Meadows, Mary Jane, and also their boss, the director of court security, identified as Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy. Seriously, okay. And how does that go, serving the lawsuit?
Well, the source describes a scene where Mark's associates try to serve the papers to Dick Tracy at his office. The video apparently shows Tracy just tossing the papers onto a chair, and later the source claims they ended up in the trash.
Wow, just total dismissal.
Pretty much sums up the attitude, it seems. But then things take another, even darker turn.
How so?
About a month after Mark filed that lawsuit, and now we're talking 3 full months after the original February incident where he was attacked and released with no charges.
Okay.
He's back at court for something else, and suddenly he gets cited for the February incident. Brand new charges. Criminal trespassing, disorderly conduct, and assault with injuries.
Wait, assault with injuries. Wasn't he the one injured? And this is 3 months later, right after he sued them.
Exactly. He was the one injured, detained, and released initially. Now, after suing, he's facing charges stemming from that very incident.
It's hard not to see that as retaliation.
That's certainly what Mark and his allies believe. They call these retaliatory crimes directly linked to him filing the lawsuit.
And is this unique to Mark, this pattern of being charged after asserting rights or suing?
According to the source, sadly, no. It claims this same scenario has happened to half a dozen people over and over and over again for the last 6 years. Mark specifically being repeatedly, quote, maliciously prosecuted for exercising his First Amendment rights.
Malicious prosecution. That's a heavy claim. Over and over for 6 years.
Yeah. And if you step back and look at this whole picture, this constant cycle, what's the underlying message the source draws from all this?
Well, the source puts it pretty bluntly. It suggests the message being sent is basically, you don't have any rights, and you're going to do exactly as you're told by the guy with the biggest stick, or you're going to get whooped with that stick.
It's a chilling perspective. A raw look at how power dynamics, not just laws on paper, can dictate reality on the ground.
Yeah. So, wrapping this up, Mark Brown's story as presented here, it really throws into sharp relief this ongoing battle, doesn't it? The individual's right to record, to criticize the government, versus this consistent, sometimes violent pushback from authority figures trying to control that narrative.
It really does. This deep dive shows just how tangled legal rights, personal conviction, and raw institutional power can become. It's a tough reminder that just asserting your rights, even when you're legally correct, can sometimes lead to more conflict, not less, especially when someone feels their control is threatened.
Absolutely, and it leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
It really does. What is Mark Brown's persistence? I mean, facing physical attacks, these legal battles, these alleged retaliatory charges, and still standing his ground. What does that tell us about the actual lived experience of First Amendment rights? And maybe what responsibility do we as individuals have to document these kinds of confrontations, to bring them into the light, even knowing the potential risks involved,